Hello, I'm Phil DiStefano, Chancellor at the University of Colorado Boulder. Thank you for joining us today. One of our key initiatives, strategic initiatives on the campus, is to shape tomorrow's leaders. And we thought it would be a good idea to sit down with Sandy Bracken, former president of the University of Colorado, and retiring as the Newton Chair in Leadership, and ask Sandy some questions about leadership. Sandy, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Phil.
It's great to have you here. So my first question, of course, is the general one of what makes an effective leader?
To me, there are really two key things. But it all begins with the self and self-awareness. And it's very important for any leader or one aspiring to become a more effective leader to really understand their own selves. Know their weaknesses, know their strengths, know their blind spots, and really understand where they're coming from themselves. And beyond that, I think there are a couple of things. One has to do with just a skill set, to be effective communicators, to be visionaries, to be strategic thinkers and critical thinkers, to be ones who inspire. But then maybe equally important, if not more, are personal characteristics. Integrity and trust, for example, really come to me at the top of the list.
What impact do you see social media having on the ability to lead or on the desire for others to lead?
With social media, judgments are made instantly. Perspective is lost. People are coming to conclusions. And so I think the job of a leader is made that much more difficult with social media somewhat perpetuating that sense of rush to judgment and instant judgment, unfortunately, all too often in a negative way.
You know, we always talk about how we take an issue and we want to question it and analyze it and evaluate it. And that just doesn't seem to be going on as much now with social media.
Exactly. I think you're absolutely right.
And, you know, right now we're in the process of searching for a new president of the University of Colorado system. What advice would you give the next university president about leadership?
Well, to use a vernacular phrase, I guess, but fasten that seatbelt tightly, because it's what a complex job, Phil. I mean, and it's changed, obviously, over the years. But certainly any university president has to be able to be open-minded. They have to be able to accept criticism, be humble. But at the same time, they need to be able to make decisions decisively and with judgment and with perspective, be able to make the hard calls. I think people, leaders, university presidents, need to work in more and more of a visionary way, out of the box, be able to take risk, be able to think strategically, but beyond the status quo.
You know, as you know, I've had the pleasure of working with Bruce Benson for the last 10 years. Bruce hired me as chancellor back in 2009. And one thing that Bruce taught me as a leader was surround yourself with people that don't always agree with you. And one of the first things he said is, you're not going to have a lot of yes people, are you? And I said, no, I promise you I won't. I want to have people who will listen, who will challenge. But at the end of the day, when I have to make the decisions, we all go out together in a unified voice. What do you see as the biggest differences between leadership today and leadership, say, 20, 30, 40 years ago?
I think it's in the style of leadership that's probably changed the most. Gone are the days of the authoritarian style, i.e. autocratic style. It's no longer command and control. In the corporate world, you'd have a CEO standing up and saying, this is the way we're going to go out and do it. Today, it's very different. And in fact, one of the key aspects about leadership today, in terms of effective leadership, is this concept of leadership followership. To be an effective leader, you need to understand what being an effective follower is all about. In other words, followers should be empowered. Followers should be given the opportunity to call out leaders that they believe are ineffective. And I'd like to turn the tables here, if I might, and ask you a question, because your core competencies, your three core competencies for this campus, core imperatives, include leadership.
Yes.
In fact, it's number one, shaping tomorrow's leaders. What do you see as being what this campus can do more and more to develop tomorrow's leaders? How can that be done?
I think it's around 44% of employers say that their young workers coming out of the university really don't have leadership skills. And I think in today's world where a graduate is going to have, 5 to 8 to 10 jobs before he or she retires, very different from, my generation and from your generation, that we really have to equip our students not only with those critical thinking and critical writing skills, but also to talk to them about leaders, wherever they are. One of the characteristics of a CU graduate, I want it to be that he or she will be a leader in their community. And I want the University of Colorado to be recognized, and I want our students to be recognized for those leadership ability skills.
Well, it's terrific, and it's exciting for this campus to see that as such a focus.
Thank you, Sandy, and thank you for spending the time with me today and talking about leadership. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Phil.
And thank you for joining us today, and go Buffs.